K-pop is known for its dazzling performances, tightly synchronized choreographies, and of course, the presumably picture-perfect bonds between idols, who sometimes appear to be as close as family. However, things aren't always as they seem. Being an idol is not easy, and it's not just about the work hours, as the stakes are generally very high at every turn, and with one's group being such a huge part of the idol life, the pressure to get along for fans can sometimes be very hard to manage. The reality of the idol system is that trainees often live, work, and compete alongside the very people they may debut with, whether they actually get along or not. Unlike regular jobs, K-pop demands not only professionalism but also deep friendship, as fans want to see a united family, and companies are more than happy to fabricate one even if that's far from the truth. The truth is that companies would, more often than not, instruct idols to act a certain way in order to sell that family image, to the point where some idols have no choice but to sit down with each other and attempt to grow closer for the group's image. For example, despite LOONA's long run as a group, not every member has formed a close bond with some members compared to others, and while that's okay, it's clear that effort has been put into trying to shift that image. A clear example of this within LOONA is the relationship between Hyunjin and Gowon, which the company suddenly seemed to put a lot of focus on. With fans noticing that there might be some visible awkwardness between the two members, it seems like there could have been some sort of push from behind the scenes in order to ensure that the two grew closer and that the fans were able to watch the wholesome moment. In one particular V Live, the two were even teased into trying to hold a 1-minute conversation, as the members had brought up the fact that they weren't as close as other members. The whole thing quickly turned painfully stiff, and they ended up resorting to talking about the weather for lack of a better subject. Seeing just how difficult it could be for them to hold a conversation one-on-one, one fan even commented, "Actually, it makes me kinda sad that they can't even handle a 1-minute conversation," while another was taken aback and asked, "How are they still awkward like this after being together for more than 3 years?" Even when Hyunjin, who is a known prankster, was asked which member she likes to tease the most, she clarified that she isn't quite on those terms with Gowon yet, and while things could have simply remained that way, it seems like there might have been some sort of push from the company to ensure that these weaker links didn't exist in the group. One fan theory is that part of this awkwardness could stem from the vastly different paths they took before debuting, which could have been very hard to orchestrate into a deep friendship. Hyunjin was the second member of LOONA to be revealed in 2016 and was part of the group's first subunit, while Gowon was the 11th member revealed in 2018 and debuted with the third subunit. Their different subunit activities, debut timelines, and team dynamics meant they likely didn't spend much time together early on, which could explain the lack of natural closeness. Expecting immediate or effortless friendship just because they perform together isn't realistic, and LOONA's Hyunjin and Gowon are proof of that. However, the fact that the two are able to address and joke about the fact only shows that they are now comfortable enough with each other to mention the issue. And while this could have been a natural process of the two simply just wanting to grow closer, it's not unlikely that they had some encouragement from behind the scenes in order to help seal that fan fantasy. Super Junior is one of the longest-running K-pop groups in the industry, and their continued success is often seen as a rare achievement. However, what sets them apart isn't just their music or stage presence, it's their honesty. Over the years, they've also been refreshingly candid about the fact that they're not necessarily all close friends, and instead of pretending otherwise, they've leaned into that reality and turned it into a strength. Ye-sung, one of the group's vocalists, has openly addressed the internal dynamics of Super Junior. In an interview, he stated, "The reason why Super Junior can stay as a group for such a long time is that we actually aren't close to each other." The admission might sound quite controversial at first, however, it sounds like it has been a huge help for the group, despite how much their company attempted to paint them as brothers. Ye-sung went on to explain that, actually, when you're more than just two people, it's impossible for everyone to have the same good relationship with one another. Rather than denying differences or pretending all relationships are equal, Super Junior has made it work by respecting one another, and while Ye-sung emphasized that some members are closer than others, they still all share important memories and experiences, which help build closeness either way, saying, "Even if someone betrays us and leaves the group, I would never hate them, but would rather wish them well." However, their approach to this was even turned into content on their variety show, Super TV, where the most awkward members were paired to live together for a day, and instead of hiding tensions, they were forced to spend time together and acknowledge why they weren't necessarily close. While this, of course, isn't forcing the group into acting like a family, it did provide sufficient content for fans while actively pushing together members who wouldn't necessarily have gravitated towards each other without a little help from the company. NCT, one of the most ambitious and expansive K-pop projects to date, currently consists of 25 members spread across multiple subunits, including NCT 127, NCT Dream, Wavy, and more. Obviously, with such a large and diverse lineup, it's not surprising that not all members are naturally close. The group's sheer size, differing schedules, schedules and varying debut timelines make it difficult for every member to form deep personal bonds. And rather than pretending otherwise, NCT has made a point of acknowledging it, something which not even SM has necessarily denied. Chen Lu, a member of NCT Dream, once frankly said that it's impossible for every NCT member to be close, and instead of trying to fake closeness, the group took a more honest and refreshing approach. Similarly to Super Junior, the group created a YouTube series titled It's Awkward But It's Okay, also called Asas, which is shortened from the Korean phrase for awkward relationship. The show launched in 2020 and has since become a regular series, often pairing older and younger members who, despite having each other's numbers, barely spoke or interacted. NCT Dream's Jeno even nominated Chen Lu as one of the most awkward members when it came to interacting with NCT 127, and many others agreed. When it was Chen Lu's turn, he chose fellow Dream member Jisung, revealing that Jisung felt awkward around practically everyone. Jisung became a standout example of how well this concept works, as in his earlier appearances on the show, he would get flustered during simple interactions, unsure how to navigate small talk or friendly teasing. But after multiple rounds on the show, he seems completely transformed, as he now seems to follow along with all the prompts, even when asked to make cheesy or flirty comments without any hesitation regarding the other member. But while some groups lean into the fact that not all their members are quite as close, others have tried to keep the illusion for as long as possible. EXO in particular has always been branded as a group full of chemistry and brotherhood, and while some friendships in the group definitely reflect that, others have been more forced, at least at first. In fact, one example of this is the relationship between Chanyeol and Chen, which, despite debuting together and working side by side for years, had apparently been fabricated quite a bit. In a candid interview, the two of them shockingly revealed that despite appearances and 7 years of activities together, their friendship hadn't deepened until 2019 when they filmed a reality show together. According to Chanyeol, it wasn't until that experience that he was able to open up emotionally to Chen. Chen, on his side, revealed that it took a deep, vulnerable conversation for Chanyeol to let his guard down, joking that Chanyeol didn't want to taint him. That small moment of honesty was what finally helped them feel more comfortable around each other, and seems to be looked back upon as a very dear moment for both of them, despite the fact that it actually took much longer than initially shown for them to grow as close as other members. Since then, their relationship has noticeably evolved, with the two even going out to dinner together one-on-one, and Chanyeol even shared that Chen was the only EXO member to give him a birthday present that year, a meaningful pinky ring which he proudly wore. What stood out even more was how the rest of the EXO members reacted, as they seemed genuinely happy and supportive that the two had grown closer, even playfully teasing them about it. Despite being one of the most globally recognized and commercially successful K-pop groups, Blackpink has long been the subject of fan speculation regarding its internal dynamics. While their professional chemistry on stage was once praised, recent behavior, interviews, and solo ventures have left fans questioning whether the group's closeness is more performance than reality nowadays, as it's of course normal for friends to grow apart even down the road. Over the years, fans once clung to popular pairings, interpreting sweet moments and interactions as signs of deep friendship, but many now admit they're no longer so sure. A recurring sentiment among fans is that the members might simply be work friends rather than close companions outside of group schedules. And with Blackpink's members increasingly living separate lives, both literally and professionally, it's become harder to deny the growing emotional distance. Their recent activities haven't helped quiet the speculation, as all four members have now taken their solo careers outside of YG Entertainment, and even public displays of support for each other's work have been inconsistent. Lisa, in particular, has been noted by some fans to not be so publicly supportive of the others' projects, while others have also argued that she shows support in less visible ways. An old clip of Jisoo also recently resurfaced, where she discusses how it was very normal for the members to be pinned against each other in order to try and better them, seemingly acknowledging that there might be some competitive tension in the group. Another viral clip from Blackpink's 8th anniversary celebration in August 2024 also intensified these discussions, as in the video, Lisa seemingly goes to greet Jennie, but Jennie walks past her without acknowledgement. Fans were quick to interpret it as a sign that there might have been some negativity between them, and comments poured in expressing concern, with one fan even writing, "It hurts me seeing this as a blink, knowing and witnessing how close they were back then." On platforms like Reddit, deeper speculation has emerged, with fans pointing out that Lisa now appears less interested in the group's activities, and that Jennie and Lisa, once close, now seem to compete with each other, and even with Rosé. One user also pointed out that things just aren't quite the same anymore. Jisoo seems like she's just putting out music because she has to, but at least she isn't chasing Western validation. Another had other observations saying, I think Rosé and Jisoo are cordial with one another, but Jennie and Lisa seem really uncomfortable, especially with each other. The group's recent reunion tour hasn't quelled these concerns either. Though Blackpink is performing as a full group again, fans have noted how disconnected their stage presence feels, something the members haven't quite addressed yet. There's a noticeable lack of interaction, no real playfulness, minimal eye contact, and body language that seems more polite than familiar. Because of this, many fans feel like the chemistry that once felt effortless now feels like something the members have to put on. However, while things on stage might be looking awkward, it sounds like the matter has been discussed behind the scenes, as Jennie especially has acknowledged the fact that having their own unique experiences has only made them stronger as a group, also saying, we've come to understand each other more deeply and we've become a more flexible and mature team. However, while the members might be giving it their all to work well together professionally, it is perhaps a good thing that they aren't made to force any interactions or over-the-top fan service in order to please fans as they once had to. This not only shows how much the girls have grown in their careers, but also that you don't necessarily have to be family in order to give fans an amazing experience. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for more insight into the real K-pop industry, and don't forget to share your feelings on the topic in the comments down below. But the act doesn't stop at friendships. There's a lot more about idols' personalities that fans were never meant to see. The lawsuit filed by Visha's KG against JYP Entertainment has exposed some troubling aspects of the industry and how controlling it can be. In particular, one major issue was a contract clause stating that JYP assigns personalities to idols, leading fans to question how authentic idols' personalities really are. In the K-pop industry, idols are entertainers first and foremost and performers second, so complete authenticity isn't expected of them. Most of the time, companies focus on creating appealing, marketable personas that captivate fans, as raw authenticity doesn't always translate into the charisma or charm needed for success. Because of this, idols often undergo extensive training to perfect how they present themselves, ensuring they embody the image their company wants to project. However, to some extent, this can be and is considered normal, so what has recently unsettled many is the idea of companies assigning personalities to their idols, which suggests a much deeper level of influence than previously believed. If idols are being shaped to fit predefined roles, it raises questions about where the line is drawn between authenticity and branding. Rumors about companies dictating idol behavior were once just speculation, occasionally supported by idol comments, but with recent revelations, it's become evident, at least in JYP Entertainment's case, that such control is a reality for many. To give some context, KG, a former member of the international girl group Visha, recently opened up about her troubling experiences as an artist under the US branch of JYP. She posted a lengthy Instagram story, talking about how she and the other members were allegedly harmed by the company's practices. She even claimed that one of the members had attempted to take her own life because of a few staff members. Through the story, KG also informed fans that she would be leaving the group and filing a lawsuit against the company for everything they had allegedly done to her. The revelation caught everyone off guard, especially since JYP was often viewed as the wholesome company that prioritized its artists' well-being. However, KG's allegations completely shattered this image, leaving fans questioning everything they thought they knew about the company. Little did they know, it would only get worse. As part of a lawsuit, details of KG's contract have surfaced online, sparking a viral reaction. The contract revealed strict restrictions. Members were not allowed to change their hairstyles or hair color without approval, alter their skin tone through tanning, or get piercings or tattoos without the company's consent. However, the most shocking part about the contract was that it detailed how the company could assign certain personalities to the members, and then they would have to change their appearance or demeanor to fit with the character. As mentioned though, this revelation wasn't all that shocking to some, especially considering that similar practices are also common in the Western entertainment industry. The Spice Girls are a great example of this, with each member creating a bold, unique style that reflected their public image. Melanie, known as Sporty Spice, often wore tracksuits with sneakers, styled her long dark hair in a high ponytail, and embraced a tough girl vibe with tattoos. She also showed off her athletic skills on stage with moves like back handsprings and high kicks. In contrast, Victoria, or Posh Spice, was recognized for her sleek brunette bob. Her her calm demeanor, a signature pout, and her chic figure-hugging designer outfits. However, while this practice isn't new in the industry, many fans weren't aware that it was included as a clause in their contracts. As one user wrote, "We've been new, but seeing it written down with legal terms is still quite disturbing." As you can see, this part of the contract started a lot of discourse online, with people bringing up other past instances of idols talking about companies assigning them personas and characters and how restricting it had been for them. We're not sure if the personality clauses were officially in the contract or just recommendations from higher-ups, but we do know how the idols felt about them. From what fans have seen, a detached and stoic image seems to be one of the most common personalities companies assign to idols, particularly in the second generation. When SHINee debuted, it was said that the company assigned them personalities. Jonghyun, for instance, was said to have been presented as a bad boy, while Minho was portrayed as quiet and mysterious. However, years later, Minho revealed that SM Entertainment had actually created this image for him. He even said that he wasn't allowed to speak at an event because the company was set on him selling this personality to the public. However, it wasn't long before Minho's personality started shining through, making fans fall in love with him even more. Infinite's L is another idol who has discussed the fact that his company told him to act like somebody he wasn't. In an interview with Star News back in 2019, he shared that a lot of people were under the impression that he was cold and aloof, which is an image that was decided by the company. L indicated that he was encouraged to stay quiet in interviews, letting the other members respond to questions. Rather than making him seem cold, the goal appeared to be creating a distant, aloof persona. He added, "I tried to do what they had in mind, but on reality shows, my real personality would come out sometimes. That's why people thought I had two personalities." Former A-Pink member Nayeon, a second-generation idol, also had pretty much the same experience. Naturally very shy, Nayeon struggled with fan interactions and felt uneasy around strangers. Her reserved nature was often misinterpreted as being cold, which the company used to craft an Ice Queen image for her. They encouraged her to appear quiet and even limited her speaking during interviews and variety shows, fearing it might break the reserved maknae persona they had created for her. Meanwhile, other members were sent to represent the group in such appearances. Nayeon never openly expressed how she felt about having this image forced on her, but being told not to speak during interviews likely affected her opportunities. It also led some fans and netizens to label her as dull and boring, with many criticizing her personality and taking jabs at her for not being as fun as the other members. Even BTS wasn't immune to this. Jin, the oldest member, shared that early in his career, the company told him to stay quiet and play the role of the handsome, mysterious member to maintain a certain image for fans, essentially making him the group's living doll. But anyone who's seen BTS content knows this couldn't be further from Jin's true personality. He's loud, outgoing, funny, and always steals the spotlight with his vibrant energy. It's clear that he didn't feel like himself whenever he was in public and had to be quiet for the sake of upholding the image the company had created for him. It was during the Fire era that Jin made the decision to break free from the persona the company had given him, as he realized that it was better to just be himself. There are other cases of this, such as NCT's Renjun being told to act as the innocent member, Atiza's San being made to carry a plush dog around to convince fans that he's the cute one, and Girls' Generation Sohyun being assigned the cute, innocent maknae image. One of the most severe cases involved Twice's Jonghyun, who's also a JYP Entertainment idol just like KG. If you have been a K-pop fan since Twice debuted, you would know that Jonghyun was known for her short hair and more tomboyish style, since the company wanted her to be the girl crush member. Fans even started calling Jonghyun oppa and handsome, seeing her as more masculine than feminine at the time, but she strongly disliked it. In 2016, she shared that she was originally named Yoo Kyung-won, but changed it legally after facing teasing and harassment because her name sounded masculine. It's clear she didn't want to be labeled the tomboy of the group, yet that was the image she had to stick with. Her look was kept boyish with short hair and masculine clothes, and the nickname oppa hurt her so much that she cried when a fan used it. Luckily, she eventually returned to being herself and moved forward in her career, though it was clear she disliked that chapter of her life. At some point, she said that she didn't want to cut her hair short and started talking about how she enjoyed looking pretty and wearing dresses, something she wasn't allowed to do in the past. Since then, Jonghyun has embraced short hair and more tomboyish clothes, but this time it was her choice, not something the company imposed on her. It's obvious this style is truly her, but back then she hated being forced into it. Now she embraces it on her own terms. This is the case for most idols. They are often given a carefully crafted persona by their company, focusing on whatever trait is most marketable at the time, such as the sweet one or the mysterious one. However, as they grow in their careers, they eventually shed these labels, embracing their true selves once they no longer need to play the part. Assigned personas can actually benefit some idols. Not everyone wants their true personality exposed to fans, and a company-created image provides a layer of privacy. With every aspect of their lives under constant scrutiny, it's reasonable for idols to want to keep certain parts of themselves hidden. Sometimes they might not even have a personality that's easy to market, so companies try to create one that feels relatable. Unfortunately, this often leads to over-the-top decisions, as companies rarely approach these things sensibly. Forcing idols to stay silent, change their appearance, and dress against their will is already extreme, so finding out these restrictions are actually written into their contracts was both surprising and deeply unsettling. Now that KG has opened up against the industry standards and their messed up way of handling things, people are even more worried about what other things idols' contracts include that they didn't get the chance to see. Thankfully, artists are now raising their voices about harmful contracts, pushing companies to rethink how they treat their talent. This shift might finally make agencies realize that their old ways of operating without accountability are no longer acceptable today and change things for the better. And when it comes to keeping up appearances, some of the biggest lies came straight from the industry itself. There are times we are left with no choice but to believe in the statements that we are given. But sometimes these K-pop statements become too repetitive to the point that we start to question whether they're actually true. Just like one of YG Entertainment's tactics of debunking their artist dating rumors. We all know how idols have to be extra careful whenever they start dating. Idols dating has been seen as a sensitive topic to the point where dating started to be labeled as a scandal. While others still continue to support their idols if they ever find a person to date and to be happy with, some go a different route and choose to stop supporting their favorite idols instead. This could be one of the many reasons why YG Entertainment uses the tactic of debunking their artists' dating rumors with the same statement every single time. Whenever one of their artists get involved in a dating rumor, their go-to reply would always be, "We cannot disclose the private information of our artist," or "We have nothing to say in regarding this matter," or any statement similar to that. It got to the point when people don't believe the statement anymore and interpret it as, yes, they are dating. Denying it would have been easier, right? It would have been more favorable for both the artist and the company as well, especially on how sensitive this topic is and how it can ruin an idol's career. Just like one of the most controversial dating rumors that came around this year was when Blackpink's Jennie got tangled up in a dating scandal with BTS's Taehyung. Being one of K-pop's leading groups and top idols, their dating rumor immediately became a hot topic and spread quickly all over the internet. It all started around May when a photo began circulating on a Korean online community website, NatePan. The photo was allegedly taken on Jeju Island, and netizens identified the people in the photo as Jennie and V. After the news broke out, YG Entertainment responded with a vague and hesitant answer. They released a statement saying, "We have nothing to say regarding this matter. We will inform you if we have a different response to share." Up until now, nothing has been confirmed nor denied, but the rumor is still going around. Winners Kang Sung-yoon also got involved in a dating rumor when he was spotted with his alleged girlfriend, actress Moon Ji-ho. The same day the news broke out, YG Entertainment immediately responded to the rumors and simply stated, "It is difficult to confirm the personal matters of our artists." Another similar situation happened when Jennie was also reportedly dating fellow YG Entertainment artist G-Dragon back in 2021. Both were allegedly dating for a year and usually spend their dates inside G-Dragon's luxury apartment in Hanam. Dispatch released a photo of Jennie who was spotted around G-Dragon's place. In regards to this rumor, YG Entertainment also released a similar response stating, "We cannot confirm anything about our artists' personal lives. We ask for your understanding." YG Entertainment had already been using these tactics way back in 2015 when G-Dragon's dating rumors with model Kiko Mizuhara circulated online. They released a statement saying, "It's G-Dragon's personal life, so we do not have anything to comment on the subject." But a few months later, it was reported that the couple eventually ended their on and off relationship. Another similar statement we frequently hear is the hiatus due to health reasons or can't attend due to health reasons. What we all know is this could be another lie or excuse the companies usually say if their artist is currently tangled up in a scandal or if the artist and the company are having issues together. One perfect example of this would be Chu's relationship with her previous company, Blockberry Creative. On November 25th, Blockberry Creative revealed Chu would be removed as a member of Luna. Blockberry Creative alleged that they were told Chu recently exhibited violent language and misuse of power towards Blockberry Creative staff. Since Chu's removal from the group, everything makes sense now and the dots have been connected after all the mistreatments Chu has been receiving. One of them was when it was announced that Chu could not attend the Lunarverse from concert concerts due to unspecified health reasons. The company stated, "Judging that health is the #1 priority, we have made this decision after discussing with Chu and all the other members. We'll make sure to help Chu to focus on her condition and get better soon." As fans were worried about Chu's health, things got worse. Blockberry Creative then announced that Chu would not be participating in Luna's first world tour due to an already fixed schedule. Fans were more curious, confused, and angered at the same time about what could be more important than a world tour that Chu couldn't attend. Fans were disappointed, and so was Chu. During their fan event for Flip That Comeback, Chu looked very upset when the MC starts talking about the upcoming tour. From her pout and sad eyes, it seems like she wishes she was able to go. So when Blockberry Creative announced their Seoul concerts, people were excited that Chu could surely make a 2-day window in her schedule to appear at the October concerts. However, it was again announced that Chu wouldn't be attending. While Chu was on the app Fab, she revealed that she didn't even know about it. "They didn't give me any notices about attending the schedule in the afternoon, so I'm sad. I miss you too, a lot, a lot." She also further explained how Luna's schedules work since all the other girls were raving about the concert on the Fab app. "Just because a schedule is uploaded doesn't mean I can participate in all of them. The company needs to confirm and then send confirmation notification for me to attend. Even if the schedule is uploaded, I don't know if I'm participating in it or not." After all the mistreatment, it was pretty obvious that Blockberry had some beef with Chu and is definitely angry with her to the point of removing Chu from the group. Moving on, we have another statement that we constantly hear about, and that is, "We are verifying the facts." Most likely, statements like this turn out to be the company kicking a member out, just like in the case of Garam. On April 5th, Kim Garam was revealed to be the next member of the new girl group Le Sserafim. But on the same day, Garam was also accused of being involved in school violence. A netizen who claimed to have known Garam since her days at Kyungin Middle School in Seoul said that the idol had a reputation for harassing her juniors and smoking cigarettes. HYBE was quick to deny the accusations, posting a statement on Source Music's Twitter on April 6th. The issue resurfaced again when a photo of a notice of school violence committee results with Garam's name listed as the perpetrator circulated on the internet. The alleged victim of the incident, under the name Yoo Eun-sol, came forward via the law firm Daeryun to confirm that the image was real. HYBE then released another statement saying, "The truth of this statement from 2018 is currently only being conveyed by one side, so as soon as we finish examining Daeryun's claims, we will announce our clearly organized position." But just a day after their statement, HYBE announced that Garam would be taking a 2-month hiatus, and at the same time also issued a detailed statement regarding the incident, saying that Garam only engaged in school fights to defend a friend who was being harassed by Yoo Eun-sol. They stated, "She suffered psychological hardship through receiving attacks from all sorts of rumors during the process of her debut. After discussion with Kim Garam, we have decided that Kim Garam will temporarily halt activities and focus on healing her wounded heart." Exactly 2 months after the announcement, HYBE and Source Music officially terminated Kim Garam's contract as a member of Le Sserafim. Another similar case is Raven's departure from ONEUS. On October 14th, Raven was accused of cheating and gaslighting his alleged girlfriends, and at the same time, allegedly begging his fans for expensive gifts. The next day, RBW released an official statement on their fan cafe stating, "We would like to notify you that we are currently checking on the facts regarding recent online posts related to member Raven in a thorough manner. We promise to do our best to confirm all of the facts precisely." A few days later, the company released another statement, but still gave a similar message to their previous one. They stated, "We are closely investigating the validity of the case, and all of Raven's activities will be suspended until the fact-checking process is complete." Not long after their fact-verifying statements, RBW announced Raven's departure from the group. Raven voluntarily left the group in concern of the harm that was being caused to the ONEUS members and the fans. Lastly, we have idols lying about their age. Former sister idols Bora and Hyorin were once caught lying about their age, but they aren't the only idols doing so. In 2017, Bora parted ways with Starship Entertainment and signed a contract with Hook Entertainment after Sista's disbandment. Shortly after her switch, fans noticed Bora's Naver profile birth year was changed from 1990 to 1989. The same goes for Hyorin. Hyorin's birthday was switched to December 1990 from January 1991. Netizens had a mixed reaction to the situation. Some didn't mind the change, but some pointed out how they lied to their fans. A few comments were, "So when fans congratulated their birthdays, it wasn't their actual birthdays. It's too much." And wow, so the fans celebrated their birthdays when it wasn't their birthdays. What a feeling. Eagle-eyed fans also caught former Monsta X member Wonho's real age. On several profiles, Wonho is stated to be born on March 1st, 1993, but on one of his YouTube videos where he was getting a body scan, it is seen in his profile that his date of birth is March 1st, 1992. Despite that, Wonho nor his agency made any comment regarding his actual birth year. There's one particular group that is open about their fake birthdays. They even celebrate their fake birthdays with fans instead of their real ones. We're talking about the girl group Uju Sonya, also known as Cosmic Girls. The concept of the group is that each girl represents a certain zodiac sign, which does not always line up with their actual zodiac sign. For example, Sola's representative zodiac sign is Sagittarius, but she was actually born on December 24th, so in reality, she's a Capricorn. It's definitely an interesting concept, but what many of their fans find problematic is that the girls don't actually celebrate their real birthdays, but their fake ones instead. In one of Soobin's birthday lives where she was celebrating her fake birthday, she looked particularly done with the concept, and their fans definitely side with her. But the deception goes even further, right down to the stages fans thought were real. The Seoul Music Award 2022 winners have once again started the conversation that has been going on for a long time. Are these award shows rigged? The controversy around award shows and their winners is never ending, but what music award shows have actually been proven to be rigged? Music award shows in Korea have been around for about 30 years, so the controversies and the negative publicity have been surrounding them ever since the start. But even though back then receiving awards was a matter of prestige, today the crazy amount of award shows, the confusing and sometimes even unfair system of voting, and totally confusing criteria for nominations has diminished their high status. The discourse around the unfairness of award shows always seems to be the most present around the end of the year, but the Seoul Music Awards of 2022 have started the conversation again. The 31st Seoul Music Awards were held on January 23rd, and while fans of the winners were happy to see the efforts of their favorites finally being recognized by award shows, others weren't as pleased. And while international and Korean K-pop fans don't agree on many things, both communities felt that some of the winners of the 31st Seoul Music Awards were unfairly awarded. The Daesung and Rookie of the Year award winners were the most discussed ones, as people felt that the groups who were given these awards were undeserving of them. Most fans felt that NCT Dream, Stray Kids, and TXT were given the cold shoulder by the SMAs, and especially IVE, who had the numbers, popularity, and votes that made them eligible to take home the Rookie of the Year award. There was also the issue with the voting itself. The fan votes accounted for 30% of the final result, and yet it looked like some of the winners of the awards had pre-recorded their acceptance speeches. This is not new, but it was strange that the videos were recorded a month before the voting had closed, which made it look like the fans voted for nothing. Fan-voted award shows have always been controversial, since the groups with smaller fandoms don't stand a chance against bigger groups. Fan voting in general is an element of award shows which allows fans to feel like part of the process, but it's also a poor attempt by shows to gain more clicks at the cost of groups losing to other groups with bigger fandoms. The K-pop industry, as a rule, is good at capitalizing on the demand by engaging fans with a voting factor. The more fandoms feel invested in an opportunity to contribute to their favorite artists winning awards, the more these shows get in terms of ratings and/or relevancy. The dedication of fans comes into perspective, and award shows always succeed in fueling this obsession. The two major award shows, Mnet Asia Music Awards and Melon Music Awards, have categories either based purely on voting or ones where voting carries a large percentage of the total criteria. The Artist of the Year Daesung at the MAMAs is to be determined by a 30% chunk of online votes, but the voting has been proven to be useless considering the 2017 MAMAs where EXO were severely disrespected. The 2017 MAMAs were controversial in many ways, but especially for how they snubbed EXO of their well-deserved awards. It was also the last time they attended the award show. Firstly, the same as the Seoul Music Awards, the fans' votes eventually meant nothing when it came to the winners of the awards, even though the categories were fan-voted and the votes counted for 30% of the final result. EXO wasn't the only group that was disrespected though. Instead of EXO were BTS, who were dominating the industry back then. 101 won the Best Male Group as a mere rookie group. Instead of Tungha, Pristin won Best New Female Artist. Instead of G-Dragon, Best Male Artist went to Deagle. There were fans who didn't mind the winners, as there always are, but the fans who worked hard to vote were understandably shocked that the voting eventually counted for nothing. Out of all 19 fan-voted categories EXO were nominated for, and of the 5 categories they were leading with votes, they ended up winning only 1 award. Just 1 award! EXO were so distraught that, according to the host, Song Joong-ki, they were caught crying backstage. But being the angels that they are, the priority of the EXO members was comforting the fans. After receiving the Album of the Year award, Baekhyun told fans, "Alright, we've won a prize, now you can go home and rest. You worked hard, we'll meet in the same place again next year." Since EXO didn't attend MAMAs ever since then, Suho told EXOLs, "You no longer have to vote because for us, EXOLs are a Daesung." Not only that, but MAMA played a video montage of moments throughout the years in 2019, and during EXO segment, they put the text, tears of joy on top of a video where they were crying during their acceptance speech in 2017. Everyone knew that those were not tears of joy because they were crying because of how EXILs were treated during the show. Besides that, the voting system for MAMA was found to be rigged by the company itself, and the rumors about fake votes and rankings spread like wildfire. In 2017, Mnet reported that they discovered false votes, so the company took a few measures to halt the voting so they could clear out the illegal votes. Mnet went on to ban the IP addresses of these alleged fake votes and tried to identify bots and block them, but this just caused even more controversy. Attempts were also made to identify bots and to block them, but this changed the rankings of some of the categories drastically, and fans weren't exactly happy about that. Fans accused Mnet of favoring some groups over others and removing legitimate voters with the excuse that they were bots. But this isn't the only time MAMA were accused of favoritism and unfairness. There has also been controversy around the end of the year award shows giving out attendance awards, where these shows give awards to idols just for attending them. The Asian Artist Awards are mostly accused of this, but let's talk about MAMA and their feud with entertainment companies for a second. Mnet and SM Entertainment appeared to be mortal enemies, but many still remember the fact that they used to be very friendly with each other. So what went wrong? MKMF, now known as MAMA, featured numerous artists from SM Entertainment, which were given many awards. However, during 2008, Mnet wanted to be the distributor of the music produced by SM, and in return, Mnet would receive a percentage of the profit from the sales. Mnet were already distributing the music of big entertainment companies like JYP, DSP, and YG, and by gaining the rights to distribute SM Entertainment's music, they would become the leaders of the industry. But SM shattered this dream of theirs when they refused the offer. It's understandable considering that SM already had the ability to distribute their own music, and there was no need for them to pay Mnet for a job that they could easily do themselves. However, this instance caused Mnet to hold a long-time grudge against SM. Their friendship ended, and SM groups had to suffer the consequences of this feud. SM groups stopped going to M Countdown in late 2008, and SM boycotted the MAMAs in 2009, which resulted in SM groups not taking any awards home, even though most of them should have won. Girls' Generation was robbed of the Song of the Year award for G. And we have to be honest here, I Don't Care by 21, who ended up winning the award instead, was indeed a bop. But G was on an entirely different level. G literally became Korea's national anthem in 2009. It blew up all digital charts, set the record for the most music programs for a win, was hailed the Song of the Decade by Melon, and catapulted Girls' Generation to becoming the nation's girl group. And yet, somehow, Mnet didn't think that it deserved to win the Song of the Year award. Sounds fishy, right? G also managed to win on all music shows for weeks, but somehow didn't get a single win at M Countdown and only entered their chart a month after release. Same thing happened with Genie. This only shows that the only thing that some companies have to do in order for their artists to get awards is to be on good terms with Mnet and do business with them when needed to. SM Entertainment isn't the only company who had issues with Mnet though. YG Entertainment's beef with Mnet is quite well known in the industry, as G-Dragon himself once even went on MAMA in 2014 and dissed the show for the way they handed out awards. He criticized them while being on their stage. And while we don't know why this feud started, G-Dragon dissing them didn't help their relationship in the slightest. G-Dragon criticized them for giving out awards to every artist so that fans would be happy, as well as rewarding groups for their popularity rather than their music and art. What he said was, "This is a year-end fishing for pushovers. Tout snatching them without a hook. My record, skill is always seen as a lie. It's been a year, MAMA. Seems like you're giving out big awards. You hand it out generously so your children won't fight." Media outlets started speculating that G-Dragon's rap is sarcastic and targeting the MAMAs. For example, fishing for pushovers is being analyzed to possibly mean that the event producers, or as they're referred to, the pushovers, are easily shaken by popular opinion and just want to grab attention, hence fishing, by giving their awards away easily to the most popular artists, but not to those who deserve the awards. This resulted in YG being basically ostracized from MAMA for a while, because the following year, YG revealed that none of their artists received an official invitation. There was also the whole mess of MAMA awarding IOI the Rookie of the Year in 2016 instead of Blackpink, since IOI were a group formed through an Mnet show. What's more, during Jung Se-woon's performance at 2017's MAMA, photos of all girl groups who were nominated for the Best Female Groups appeared on the screen, but imagine the audience's shock when the Blackpink members' faces were blurred out once their photos popped up. Fans thought that this was a direct diss towards YG, but from other videos and videos of the event, it can be seen that it was just a broadcasting issue. That year, YG artists also got less nominations than expected and no wins at all. By now, the feud seems to have settled down though. Now let's talk about Asian Artist Awards. They're not taken very seriously by K-pop fans or the industry in general because of the random categories they come up with, or the fact that they mostly seem to award those who are attending the show instead of the artists who fulfill the criteria criteria to be the winner. I mean, with categories like Fabulous Award, Brilliant Award, and Potential Award, it's a bit hard to take them seriously in general. The Asian Artist Awards are called concerts with gifts for everyone for a reason. Between 2016 and 2018, there was only one grand prize for artists, then suddenly it became 4, and now there's a total of 6 daesangs. The number of rookie awards also changed from 3 to 4 to 3 again. Now, it's great to recognize the efforts and success of multiple groups, but to change the number of awards given in a single category this often makes them look really shady no matter the intention. Not to mention that there is no listed criteria as to why someone won, which makes everything even more suspicious. The only award show that seems honorable to the general public and K-pop stans are the Korean Music Awards, which is an annual music award show that honors both mainstream and underground musical artists from a variety of genres. Unlike other major music awards, which mostly rely on record sales and fan votes to determine the winners, the Korean Music Awards gives awards based on the recommendations of a panel of judges consisting of music critics, radio show producers, academics, and other professionals within the industry. And when I say they award underrated artists, I mean it. The artists who have won the major categories in this award show are all impressive acts with less mainstream success than most groups. The award winners like Kim Oki, Hyeko, Giha in the Faces, and others don't have huge fandoms, album sales inflated by fan signs, or streaming numbers, but they still get awarded by the judges committee for their amazing music. However, since 2004, only 3 K-pop acts have been awarded the daesang: Big Bang, Girls' Generation, and BTS, with BTS being the artist with the most daesangs, counting 4 daesangs to their name. Groups like Red Velvet, Brown Eyed Girls, Miss A, Wonder Girls, EXO, and FX have also won genre awards like Best Pop Song and Best Dance and Electronic Song. And if you think those performances are authentic, wait until you hear which shocking moments were completely staged. There comes a day when something so out of the blue happens in K-pop that it feels too insane to be real. From offensive PR stunts to staged idol feuds, in today's video, we'll go over moments that were totally fake. Fake fight on TV. The K-pop world is full of secrets, but there was one that was haunting the fans of IOI for almost 5 years. Yes, we are talking about that one clip from the first season of Produce 101. In 2021, Somi finally decided to spill the tea about the unaired fight scene. In the clip, Somi can be seen and heard yelling at someone who's behind the camera. As we all know, Somi ranked first in the show's finale with almost 860,000 votes. Park So-yeon from Leon Entertainment is seen holding Somi back as if trying to stop her from fighting the mysterious opponent. The clip was broadcasted at the end of episode 5 to tease about what's coming up the following week. However, when the 6th episode aired, Produce 101 fans were surprised to see that Somi's fight wasn't included. They wondered what truly happened, and a lot of speculation occurred. Some thought that the clip was part of an acting challenge or a prank, but none of that happened during the show's broadcast, and other people thought that Somi was beefing with another contestant or even with another member of IOI. They were left in the unknown until Somi decided to talk about it during her Instagram live stream. Somi explained that technically there were no issues going on behind the scenes of the show. Instead, the whole clip was a part of an elaborate plan that Somi came up with by herself. Somi actually staged the fight and told the director to film it. She said in the video, "Mr. Director, I'm going to act like I'm going to be mad, so please put it in the preview or something because it's going to grab attention." The director even encouraged her to go ahead with her plan, and together they staged this whole fight. Somi also added that Park So-yeon was only pulling her away to make it look more intense. The feud that never happened. If we can take anything from this video, then it would be the fact that Mnet just loves to stage and fake fights for publicity. This time, it's about the viral argument between 2 contestants on Girls Planet 999 that aired in 2021. In one of the teasers of the show, one of the contestants, Fu, was asked to say a word to a fellow contestant Eugene of CLC. Then Fu dissed Eugene by saying, "We go up, but you don't," in reference to CLC's song Helicopter. This moment went pretty viral on social media a little while later, but it also brought Fu a lot of backlash for her remark, to the point that she was receiving threats. The fans were also angered by Mnet for using their old evil editing style by purposefully showing a dramatic situation to attract more views and keep the viewers' attention. Truth be told, the entire situation was fake. The reality is that Fu and Eugene shared a good relationship throughout the show, and there was no bad blood between the two. In an interview, Fu cleared up the situation. She said, "First of all, I respect CLC very much, but the mentors really wanted me to say something to Eugene at that moment. Eugene's reaction at the time was also very good, and what you guys saw in the show after editing is totally different." Fu added that Mnet's editing made the final product way worse than it truly was. Fu also shared that she and the rest of the contestants were very surprised by the final product, with several of them reaching out to her after the episode aired. Fu said, "Viewers might watch it and see that I wasn't affected by the event, but actually, I have been holding back trying not to cry." Fu received a a lot of negative reactions after the episode, which undoubtedly took a toll on her. So much so that she even called her parents and cried a lot to them, expressing how difficult the situation was. Not only was Mnet creating drama for absolutely no reason and attracting hate towards an innocent person, the company was also accused of horrendous and harmful conditions the Girls Planet 999 contestants had to live in. Offensive for attention. Although this whole scandal happened all the way back in 2014, there's no way this was ever supposed to be real. The girl group Pritz debuted in the fall of 2014, and right from the start, they had to deal with a lot of backlash. When the girls performed at a horse track sporting event, they decided to sport outfits that were, in one word, controversial. It wasn't surprising to see the girls in gothic Lolita outfits. No, what really caused the huge uproar was the bright red armband worn by the members on their left arm. There's no point in denying that the symbol is too familiar to the symbol used by Germans during the Second World War. According to their agency, Pandagram, the symbol was supposed to represent the group's hope and ambition and to expand without a limit in 4 directions. Pandagram also claimed that the resemblance was never intentional. Although they made all these claims, the similarity is just too big for it to be a coincidence. Even back then, the agency was accused by netizens of creating so-called noise marketing to gain attention. Just a few weeks after this, Pritz was embroiled in yet another controversy involving a political issue. This time, the group came under fire for putting what resembles the Japanese imperial flag in their promotional material. It was for their first single called The Hardest Question for Mankind. Upon first glance, it looks like an ordinary black background with the girls in the front, but once people looked at it carefully, there seems to be another image that looks suspiciously similar to the Japanese imperial flag, also known as the Rising Sun flag. This flag symbolizes a lot of bad things within the Korean community because of the cruelty and horrors Koreans went through during the Japanese occupation. Many people believe that all of this was staged and made by the company to create buzz around the group. The truth about survival and debut shows. Some people love them, some people hate them, but survival and debut shows are still an important part of the K-pop industry, and that's how a lot of K-pop groups come to be. The question is, how many of these shows are truly genuine and how many of them are completely scripted? People have been talking about this issue for a long time, but one show that feels the least genuine and real is the survival show Stray Kids were in. One user on Reddit pointed out that everything about this show feels extremely scripted and pre-planned, which is generally not the point of a survival or debut show. From the beginning, it was obvious that Stray Kids were going to debut as a 9-piece group because why else would they release the Elevator music video? Park Jin-young himself received a lot of backlash after the show aired because, if any of you have seen it, you'll know how emotional and traumatizing it was. It would also make no sense if Minho and Felix were actually eliminated and weren't given a second chance a little while later. Judging by the reactions of the other members when Felix and Minho were eliminated, we can tell that they didn't know this was coming. Even though we can't say all of this was planned and staged for sure and it's all just rumors, it wouldn't fit the standard way most survival shows go. So, a lot of people believe that JYP eliminated Felix and Minho only in front of the cameras just to keep the show intense and the viewers interested. The most well-known case of a survival show being staged and rigged is Mnet's Produce 101. In July of 2019, several viewers of Produce 101 suspected that the total votes were manipulated after they noticed particular numerical patterns. There were even voice recordings that discussed tampering with the votes, which extended to the investigation to all 4 seasons. Later on, it was revealed that 2 producers of the show manipulated the rankings and also took bribes from various entertainment companies such as Starship Entertainment, Woolim, and MBK to make sure their favorite trainees would debut. The entire lineup of X1 and IZ*ONE was also decided way before the public voting took place. 2 different voices. Astro's Cha Eun-woo is known in the industry for his stunning visuals, the characters he plays in dramas, but also for his soothing and sultry voice. Much to everyone's surprise, it was revealed in September of 2020 that Eun-woo actually uses 2 different voices, much to his agency's orders. In a video that was posted to Twitter, Eun-woo speaks in 2 entirely different voice pitches. Initially, Eun-woo's fans were swooning over his deep tone, but soon they realized that something wasn't right. It was speculated that Eun-woo was ordered by his agency Fantasio Music to use his so-called idol voice even when he was filming different advertisements. Allegedly, Eun-woo had to speak in higher pitches ever since he was a teenager to master the perfect idol voice. These speculations angered a lot of fans who were upset that K-pop agencies go as far as controlling an idol's voice. These fans also wondered why it was so important for Eun-woo to use a completely different voice. Although it is upsetting that Eun-woo uses a voice that isn't his natural one, he's also used this in situations that he was more comfortable in, and surely we would catch him speaking in his natural one more often if it was causing him any major issues. Eun-woo's fans also dubbed this voice as a capitalistic voice since he uses it mainly for idol and campaigning purposes. They also agreed that even though manipulating your voice and changing the pitches depending on the situation is a tough skill, they would like to hear more of his real voice in the future. Even ex-idols have come forward revealing just how deep the illusion really goes. As we all know, there have been numerous K-pop secrets revealed in the past, ranging from idols being prohibited to use their personal phones to companies putting a stop to their artists' love lives. However, these secrets seem to run much deeper and darker than we all thought. Because of the recent revelations from Labum's Yoojong, K-pop companies are once again criticized for their disturbing and over-the-top ways of managing their idols. When Yoojong appeared on the popular YouTube channel Konso, no one expected that she would make some damning expose towards her company. She appeared on the show together with Soojung from Lovelyz, since the two and their groups used to be really close. However, according to them, it was very difficult to stay in touch because they were not allowed to have phones at the time. Yoojong shared that the two groups were able to properly hang out and talk after their 7-year contracts ended. Naturally, the host of the channel assumed that the members were not allowed to use their phones for 7 years, to which Soojung replied that they did not touch their phones once in about 4 years. While phone usage being prohibited might not be the worst secret practice K-pop companies often have, installing CCTV cameras into the members' dorms definitely wins that title. Her confession that the company monitored them so closely to the point they put security cameras into their shoe cabinet shocked many netizens. Yoojong reminisced and said, "Back then, there weren't any specific clauses banning relationships or anything like that, but the company was super strict. They even had CCTV cameras to check whether we were going out or not." She recalled one particular day when she went out to buy some bubble tea and the company immediately called her and questioned her where she was. If these rules were broken, there would be some kind of repercussions for the idols who decided to go against the agency. In the same Konso interview, Soojung was asked what followed after someone at her company broke one of the rules. Soojung admitted that even though they didn't have an official clause or anything like that, many of them were simply aware of what would happen. One of the punishments involved the idols being pulled out from all of their practices, vocal lessons, and more. Soojung's agency used this method of denying these idols their crucial practice lessons as a form of control. When the host remarked that this would allow the idols to rest a lot more, Soojung agreed but mentioned that those missed practices would show in the idols' performances on stage, as in someone who was supposed to be at the center is pushed to the side instead. Yoojong backed up Soojung's words, stating that she felt like she was being gaslighted by the agency into just agreeing with everything. Extreme monitoring, unfortunately, seems to be a common practice among various K-pop companies, even the ones that are considered small. In 2021, the survival show My Teenage Girl sought to form a girl group called Classy. One of the trainee contestants, Judy Kim, spoke up about her life after she joined a new entertainment company as a result of being eliminated from the show. On her Instagram account, Judy explained why she decided to leave the industry altogether, recalling the extreme mental turmoil she went through and the numerous serious injuries she suffered. Judy revealed that her former company controlled her so intensely that she developed a bad sense of paranoia and fear that she was being watched. While it's somehow understandable that companies prohibit their idols from visiting clubs, smoking, or drinking alcohol, Judy's company took their restrictions to another level. She wasn't allowed to do even the most simple things like getting her nails done without letting someone know. If she wanted to change her hair or get a trim on her bangs, she had to notify someone before she went and did it. Her company required Judy to update them on every single place she went to, and she even had to tell them she was going to sleep. Because of this, Judy's anxiety grew and grew until it morphed into a fear that someone was watching her through the window. Naturally, when netizens learned about Judy's story, they were horrified by these conditions and everything that Judy had to endure, reassuring Judy that she made the right decision to leave the harmful environment. While not all entertainment companies are inherently bad, there's still a huge portion of them that don't treat their trainees and artists as human beings, but rather as cash dolls who will fatten up their wallets. There have been numerous stories about former idols who spoke up about never seeing a dime from all of their hard work they've done over the years, as the companies just pocket all of their income. Aaron from New East and Joel from BTL both went through difficult financial times because of their companies. Not too long after BTL debuted in 2014, their company started to face financial difficulties. The situation got so severe that in the end, the members received no money for food, were kicked out of their dorm, and weren't even allowed to get part-time jobs. When Joel confronted the higher-ups in his company and asked them for advice, they only brushed him off and suggested that they should live off their parents' money. Because there was no other option for Joel to make money as they were not allowed to work, he went to his parents for help, and in the end, it took him over 9 years to pay back his parents. Aaron also had to rely on his parents' help. Even though New East debuted in 2012 and their career went on for the next decade, they also didn't make any money in their early years. During those years, Aaron received allowance money from his aunt, money that he then used to feed the entire group, which is why they all managed to survive their trainee and early debut days. It's shocking that some of these idols are reaching millions with their streams, sales, and followers, but still can't afford to put food in their mouths. One of the more prominent idols who often exposes shady entertainment companies is former Momolin's Daisy. In March of 2025, she revealed shocking information that angered K-pop fans. Daisy is very active on her TikTok account, and apart from posting her usual content, she sometimes shares a little bit about her days as an idol. She also discussed some of the lies that are very prominent within K-pop and entertainment companies. She brought up the topic of hiatuses and breaks and revealed that they are not always as they seem. She stated that some companies would rather label the idol's break as a personal hiatus to avoid revealing any actual details. These companies also often lie about the reason why idols go on a hiatus, often about the extent of an injury. Apparently, sometimes these idols aren't injured at all. According to Daisy, companies would pull the injury card when an idol undergoes plastic surgery or other cosmetic procedures. Daisy said, "The official statement may say it's like a fractured arm, and then the idols show up with a cast, whatever it may be, but sometimes they're completely fine and they got plastic surgery." Daisy's statement seemingly invited a lot of criticism towards female idols. On the other hand, many felt that Daisy has all the rights to talk about her experience, even if they're negative. In the same vein, Daisy also spoke up about other weird instances that are kept secret from K-pop fans. For a few months, there's been controversy about companies using an auto pen for signing albums. While Daisy didn't hear about it in her idol days, she did reveal that sometimes the staff members would sign the albums instead of the artist, especially if there were dozens and dozens of albums. The videos garnered a lot of attention, with netizens coming to the comment section to share their own thoughts. One netizen wondered if Bubble and Weverse messages even come from the idols, or if it's just staff members writing them. Another netizen mentioned B2B's Peniel in relation to Daisy's statement about companies lying about hiatuses and breaks. They wrote that a hiatus isn't always even about the idol's health or personal issues, but rather the company is suspending the idol because they did something that went against the company's rules. Another netizen mentioned that they hope companies are not using mental health hiatuses as an excuse for cosmetic procedures, since many fans care deeply about the mental health of K-pop idols and would go above and beyond to make their idols happy. Additionally, a former member of the group Teen Top CAP didn't hesitate to call the K-pop environment rotten. He called out companies for controlling their idols to the point that these people feel like toys. He openly admitted that he developed an addiction to alcohol because of how toxic the industry has become. Interestingly enough, he didn't blame just the companies, but the fans and the artists as well. CAP especially criticized the fans for being the ones responsible for this culture, and the artists for not being honest and open about how the environment affects them. Another former idol who opened up about his time as an idol and how traumatic it was for him was DPR Ian. Ian's first steps into the industry were in the group C Clown in 2012. The group disbanded a few years later in 2015. In recent years, Ian has been very vocal about all the trauma he went through during his time in C Clown and all the pain he had to endure. In a live stream, Ian opened up about signing a slave contract with a company that messed him up pretty badly. He cited fistfights with their manager to be an almost daily occurrence, as well as one of his members having his ribs broken. Ian recalled being treated like a pile of trash on the ground and that the company didn't even consider them as human beings. In an interview with SBS The Feed, he described one of his days when he was in C Clown, calling the K-pop industry inhumane. Ian recalled waking up at 5 in the morning and practicing until late at night. He also revealed that if someone was just 1 minute late, they'd have to kneel on the floor or sit in the corner as a punishment. He spoke about how most of these trainees don't realize what they're getting themselves into, thinking that the second they are an idol, they will garner immediate success, but reality is much different. In relation to the exhausting environment, he spoke about his mental health. Ian's been extremely open about his experience with DID, or dissociative identity disorder, and how the K-pop industry only triggered it more and more. Ian shared, "Blackmail is a heck of a thing. Everything they made us do, everything they put me through, that triggered the enhancement of DID." While some fans might still think that the life of a K-pop idol is all glitz and glamour, it's thanks to these idols that we now know what these companies might be hiding. And one of the most surprising secrets, many idols aren't living the glamorous lives fans imagine. Now more than ever, K-pop and the word luxury go hand in hand. We've all seen idols dressed in glitzy and high-fashion outfits or buying cars worth millions. But not everything is always as it seems, and all that glitz and glam hides the real truth. Some of these idols are in no way as rich as they make themselves seem. An article on the KOO website highlighted that South Korea is the #1 spender on luxury goods, surpassing the United States and China. The total spending on personal luxury goods by South Korea grew by $16.8 billion. years. According to analysts, the demand for luxury goods in South Korea is driven not only by the increase in purchasing power, but also by the desire to showcase one's social standing. A comment under the article read, "Watching any Korean YouTuber, you can notice how they almost always live in a single room with everything clumped together, but they'll still buy luxury wallets, bags, shoes, etc. They just care about showing off in public. For as long as we can remember, wealth was a sign of comfortable life and where you belong in society. People who surround themselves with luxury seem like they have it all in life, which ultimately makes them climb the social ladder. It's sad that someone's worth is measured in how much luxurious and expensive items they can afford, but it's the truth. So-called flex culture, where people show off their possessions in hopes of getting some validation from others, can be like poison. In 2020, when the pandemic was on the rise, there was an increase in the number of Koreans who spent their money on luxury goods, but cut down on the cost of things necessary for their daily life. There have been a few instances when celebrities have been caught showing off a lifestyle that they couldn't afford. In 2021, the rapper Doki was accused by a US-based jewelry company of not paying for the jewelry his record label purchased for one of his concerts. All those items were worth almost $35,000. This issue was taken to court, and the legal proceedings were difficult and complicated, but in 2022, the court ordered Doki to pay the money he owed the company. As he is not only a rapper but a record producer as well, Doki is a known name in the Korean hip-hop scene, but the public's opinion might have changed after he was sued by the jewelry company. One comment on Panchoa related to Doki's scandal mentioned that it's actually very frowned upon, and people are even ridiculed for renting or borrowing luxury clothes and accessories in Korea despite it being popular in the USA. The Korean hip-hop group Homies could be considered as rookies in the hip-hop scene, as they haven't been on the scene for too long. Yet as soon as they made a little bit of money, some of the members decided to purchase cars, one of them being a Ferrari. In an interview, they were asked if they have ever felt like they were successful and famous, and one of the members, Teen, answered that he was able to feel like this after he purchased a car. CK then added that after he purchased his Ferrari, he got into an accident on an icy road. After one of the MCs suggested that maybe he should have invested the money into something better, the group agreed that expensive cars were always their dream. It might sound a little crazy, but it's common for celebrities to lie about how much they make. This was recently revealed by Shiny's Key when he was a guest on A-Pink's Bloomies YouTube channel. Among other things, Key talked about paychecks and money, which are usually sensitive topics for people, and you won't hear them talking about it on public broadcasts. Key said, "To be honest, I don't think you'll be able to hear about this on broadcasts, but celebrities lie about their income. When fellow celebrities ask questions like that, they reflexively tell you a higher average." It's quite impossible to forget the scandal that surrounded Song Jia shortly after she appeared in the Netflix show Singles Inferno. Very quickly, Jia became known as the fashionable it girl, and her popularity skyrocketed. Through her Instagram and YouTube channel, Jia showed off a lifestyle that a lot of people envied, as she could seemingly afford things many people couldn't. Then, in January 2022, Jia got embroiled in a controversy that her lifestyle was fabricated and the high-end fashion pieces she wore during the show were actually fake. After netizens did a little digging, they realized that the Chanel top Jia wore when she first entered the villa seemed to be a knockoff. The color, the pattern, and the placement of the logo seemed to be different. The Chanel jacket she wore was similar to the one that Blackpink's Jennie had, but it seemed different. While many Western fans didn't see this as a huge issue, a lot of Koreans found this problematic. They even called Jia ignorant for wearing knockoff high-fashion items on a show. Judging by the comments, it seemed like netizens believed that people should only wear luxury clothes if they can afford the real thing. Many people thought that Jia was born with a golden spoon, and while she denied this claim, she did admit to growing up in a comfortable household. Her wealth is what made her attractive and famous. No one cared that she worked hard as an influencer and that she was successful on her own. People saw the lavish lifestyle that she had and the luxurious items, and when it was revealed that none of it was real, people suddenly lost interest and turned their backs on her. What feeds into the consumerism of luxury goods are K-pop idols and the K-pop culture overall. It doesn't happen very often that idols are seen wearing affordable clothes that are available to almost everyone. In 9 cases out of 10, idols are seen wearing clothes that cost more than someone's monthly rent. This is a massive contrast to the reality that most of these idols have to pay off huge debts to their company. When these idols step into the spotlight, they're wearing the newest trendy clothes and accessories, but behind the scenes, they have thousands worth of debt or they're not getting paid at all. These companies use these idols as a proof that they are successful and financially stable by dressing them in brands like Louis Vuitton or Chanel. When you see an idol wearing a beautiful gown or a trendy suit on the red carpet, they tend to be either gifted or borrowed by the brand, and most of the time it's high-end brands that have been around for years. Sometimes the brand's exposure drive fans to buy the items, even if the idols can't actually actually purchase the items. The situation around idols not receiving their payments for their activities has gotten a little better, but there are still some who don't get paid at all, or they receive the bare minimum. And how could they afford these luxurious and glitzy outfits when they can barely afford the daily necessities? In recent years, K-pop idols being ambassadors or promoting high-end brands has been on the ultimate high. It's undeniable that these idols have a huge influence on the market and its consumers. Even high school students now are willing to spend thousands on a high-end bag or shoes. BTS's song called Spinebreaker talks about parents working extremely hard so they can afford expensive clothes for their children. The phrase Spinebreaker was created about 10 years ago when the North Face's padded jackets became extremely popular among Korean teenagers, but the average price of them was around 500,000 to 600,000 Korean won. Spinebreaker then refers to a parent whose spine breaks because they work so hard. The situation has gotten much worse because now teenagers desire items that are worth millions of Korean won or even more. K-pop fans, especially teenagers, can be easily influenced by their favorite idols, and they don't think twice about spending huge amounts of money on something their favorite idol endorsed or promoted. They don't even have to promote the product, they can just be seen wearing it and their fans will go and sell it out in minutes. The fact that this idol probably can't afford it doesn't matter to them. South Korea being the #1 spender on luxury goods is definitely fueled by the entertainment industry. It's the most prominent with the 4th generation of K-pop that has both young idols and young fans. There's a reason why all these luxurious brands have been signing more and more 4th-gen idols. The most prominent idol is definitely Wonyoung from IVE, as she has been invited for Fashion Week in Paris, and her accommodation was provided by the brand Fred, which she endorses. aespa, even though they debuted just 2 years ago, attended the Givenchy fashion show because the whole group was chosen as brand ambassadors shortly after their debut. There's a fierce competition between luxury brands to select new and popular girl groups as ambassadors. New Jeans, for example, already have deals with Gucci, Burberry, and Louis Vuitton, and recently, it was announced that Minji became Chanel's newest global ambassador. A researcher at Hanwha Investment and Security said, various indicators show that the performance of 4th-generation idol groups is rising at a faster rate than in the past. 4th-generation idols have a huge influence on the next wave of luxury buyers, which is why brands have been trying to be the first one to sign these young and incredibly influential idols. In 2021, it was estimated that K-pop fans could spend around $1,400 on albums, concert tickets, and merchandise, with ARMY's being on the top of the list. This only included the official merch and none of the endorsement goods or sponsorships. In 2021, when EXO's Kai collaborated with Gucci on his Epilogue collection, the item sold out quickly after the launch. It was sold out in Thailand, Singapore, and some stores in Japan. Prices for those items ranged between $200 to almost $3,000, something that an average K-pop fan can't afford. In the first month of 2023, several idols have been announced to be new ambassadors for high-end brands, like Suga becoming the face of Valentino, or New Jeans' Hain becoming an ambassador for Louis Vuitton. Surely there's more to come in the following months, and the influence of K-pop on the luxury brands will get even stronger. And some K-pop fans will eat it all up. It doesn't matter that they could be high school students with a little to no income. These brands know what to do to get their attention. It's not the actual idol's fault, but the consumerism in K-pop is intense. Brands are quickly learning that partnering up with K-pop idols will get them even more buyers and interest than before. Willingly or not, K-pop idols paint this picture that if someone wants to be like them, they need to spend thousands on one bag or on a simple coat. Older K-pop fans might realize that this is just a marketing strategy, but since more younger people are joining the K-pop fandom, they might not be able to tell the difference. The fear of missing out is very strong in K-pop, with fans feeling terrible if they don't manage to purchase something that their favorite idol released. They fear that just because they couldn't purchase a certain item, they can't be considered a real fan, which is totally not true. On the other hand, there are people who will not think twice about dropping thousands and thousands on something their idol promoted, which is a win for the brand. And the company as well, since companies cut a chunk out of the money the idol receives from the sponsorships or endorsement. Idols collaborating with brands is slowly becoming a staple thing in K-pop, and it's bound to become even more intense. And even after all these revelations, there are still myths that fans continue to believe to this day. Have you ever heard a K-pop fact so outrageous that it just can't be true? Today we're clearing up a few of the strange yet popular misconceptions that seem to be flying around. And trust us, some of these are actually wild. Let's kick things off with Jisoo from Blackpink. You've probably heard the rumor that she only joined YG Entertainment because she wanted to act. It's one of those stories that's been repeated so much, people just take it as fact. And sure, it's not completely made up, but that's not the full scoop. The truth is, Jisoo's path into YG was a bit more interesting. At her audition, she didn't bust out a dramatic scene or deliver a monologue, but performed the song I Have a Lover. And that one performance showed off just how strong her vocals were. It left such a mark that YG gave her a trainee spot on the spot. That kind of instant callback only happens when someone seriously impresses. And don't worry, Jisoo didn't ditch acting entirely. While training, she popped up in a few commercials and even scored a quick cameo in the K-drama The Producers, sharing the screen with IU and Sandara Park. So yeah, acting was always in the mix. But saying that it was her only dream kinda erases the fact that YG clearly saw real star potential in her as a performer. Her debut with Blackpink in 2016 wasn't a second choice. It was the result of hard work and YG's vision for her. Acting may have been a piece of the puzzle, but it was never the whole picture. Now let's get into G-Friend. If you've been around K-pop for even a minute, chances are you've heard the claim that they only blew up because of one thing, the infamous falling fan cam. That clip of them slipping all over a wet stage but still nailing the choreo? Yeah, it went viral, and honestly, they handled it well, but chalking up their entire come-up to that one moment kinda ignores the bigger picture. G-Friend actually debuted back in January 2015 with Glass Bead, and right out the gate, they brought catchy melodies, high-energy moves, and a vibe that made people pay attention. The song did well on the charts and started building buzz from day one. Their fan base wasn't born from a viral stumble, it was already growing thanks to solid releases and stage presence that stood out. Sure, the fan cam gave them a major visibility boost, no doubt, but let's be real, the groundwork was already there. That viral moment didn't make them, it just turned the spotlight on what they'd already been building. Have you realized that you believed in this misinformation? Let us know in the comments if you did, and if you want to stay up to date with K-pop news, don't forget to like and subscribe. Moving on to one of those fan theories that's been floating around for years. This idea that BTS members V and J-Hope were originally supposed to have completely different roles in the group. You've probably heard it. Supposedly V was meant to be a rapper and J-Hope was lined up for vocals. But here's the thing, there's really no solid proof to back that up. J-Hope came in strong as a rapper and dancer from day one, and that's exactly the lane he stayed in. He's known for his sharp moves and tight flow, and he's been delivering on both since the beginning. As for V, his deep soulful voice was never a side note. It was a standout feature. From the earliest tracks, his vocals helped shape BTS's overall sound, and that hasn't changed. Sure, both of them have played around with their styles. J-Hope's solo projects have leaned into melodic rap and more vocal-driven moments, while V has occasionally tried out a few rhythmic rap-like lines, but experimenting is just part of being an artist. It doesn't rewrite their main roles in the group, so as fun as the theory sounds, it's more likely just a case of fans letting their imaginations run wild than something that ever came close to actually happening. Now here's one that always makes the rounds when people talk about IU, the powerhouse soloist who basically redefined what it means to go solo in K-pop. The story goes that JY Park himself, the founder of JYP Entertainment, personally turned her down at an audition. It's got that perfect blend of drama and irony, right? Like, imagine rejecting IU only to watch her become one of the most beloved voices in the industry. But when you actually break it down, the timeline does not quite hold up. Yes, IU was rejected by JYP, that part's true, but JY Park wasn't the one who looked her in the eye and said no. That decision came from someone else in the company. And funny enough, JY Park later admitted that he regrets how that all went down. In an interview, he even joked that he'd like to have a little chat with whoever made that call because, yeah, they missed out. IU ended up signing with Lowen Entertainment instead, and from there, she slowly carved her path, release by release. But it wasn't smooth. She faced her fair share of rejections from different agencies before finally getting a yes. What really defines her story isn't that JYP let her slip through the cracks, it's that she kept going anyway. That steady grind, that refusal to quit, that's what turned IU into a legend. Then there's Johnny from NCT, who everyone points to when talking about long trainee periods, and what's the popular claim? He trained for a full 9 years before finally stepping onto the stage. Sounds intense, right? Like he was locked in a practice room for nearly a decade straight. But the reality is a bit more nuanced than that. Johnny did start training early, but in the beginning, it wasn't full-time. While still living in Chicago, he'd head to Korea during school breaks and summer vacations to train, juggling it with his regular high school life back in the States. So those first few years weren't the all-day, everyday kind of training most people imagine. It wasn't until he graduated and officially moved to Korea that he dove into being being a full-time idol. From the time he was first recruited to when he debuted with NCT 127 in 2017, yeah, it does add up to about 9 years. But that stretch includes both part-time and full-time phases, and that context changes the picture a bit. It's still a huge commitment and says a lot about his dedication. Now let's get into the rumor about G-Friend's Eunha supposedly being a former big hit entertainment trainee. It's one of those things that keeps popping up in K-pop discussions, and at first glance, it almost sounds believable. After all, G-Friend was under Source Music, and Source later got acquired by Hybe, which used to be Big Hit, so the dots feel like they kinda connect. But here's the real story. Eunha was never a big hit trainee. Before her debut, she actually trained under Lowen Entertainment, where she put a lot of focus on developing her vocals. That training helped shape the sound that became one of G-Friend's standout strengths. So where's all the confusion coming from? Most likely from Sin-B, her fellow member who was a big hit trainee before switching over to Source. Sin-B even trained with BTS at one point, which adds to the mix-ups. But Eunha's path was completely separate. Knowing who trained where doesn't just clear up fan theories, it also shows how G-Friend came together with such a wide range of backgrounds. It wasn't one company molding them from start to finish, it was different systems, different influences, and a blend of experiences that gave the group their signature style. Next up is Mion from Idol, a name that always seems to come with a bit of YG Entertainment backstory. Yep, she was a trainee under YG for a while and was even in the running for what eventually became Blackpink. But here's where things get a little messy. Fans started claiming she got kicked out of the company for dating fellow trainee Jung Jin-hyung. That rumor picked up steam fast, especially after photos of the two hanging out in Japan made the rounds. It sounded like a classic case of breaking the company's dating ban and paying the price for it. But if you actually look at the timeline, things do not line up like that. Those Japan photos were taken after Mion had already left YG. At that point, she was attending a vocal academy and doing her own thing, no longer connected to the company at all. So the idea that dating got her cut doesn't really hold up. What does make more sense is the delay in debut plans. When you've been training for years and there's still no solid debut in sight, it's not that shocking to step away and look for a new direction. Mion confirmed this herself on multiple occasions, saying that she left because the debut was taking too long and she had been training since the 7th grade. And that move clearly worked out. She ended up in Idol, where she's become a core part of the group's sound and image. Lastly, let's clear up one of the more stubborn myths out there that FX, one of SM Entertainment's most boundary-pushing girl groups, wasn't commercially successful. This one really depends on what people mean by success. If we're talking about the global spotlight, then sure, FX didn't hit the same international levels as Girls' Generation or newer groups like Red Velvet. But when you dig into the actual numbers, sales charts, critical reception, it tells a very different story. Albums like Pink Tape, Red Light, and Four Walls were praised by critics and performed well in Korea. And let's not forget songs like Electric Shock or Rum Pum Pum Pum, which were bold, unconventional, and still managed to hit big. FX carved out a space where they could take risks, whether it was with intricate choreography, non-traditional song formats, or visuals that pushed the envelope. That creative freedom didn't just earn them a loyal fan base, it also inspired other groups to try new things. So no, they weren't the go-to face of K-pop globally, but calling them a commercial flop, that's just not it. They thrived in a different way on their own terms. And honestly, their legacy proves that success isn't always about who's trending worldwide, it's also about who shifted the game from the inside. Thanks for watching. If you want more deep dives like this, make sure to hit like and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next.